Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Spine Health Foundation Facebook Live. I'm Erica Anderson, your host for today, and I'm speaking with scoliosis warrior and ballerina, Paige Fraser. Thank you so much for joining us, Paige.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
Yes, we are so excited to talk with you. As many people know, June is Scoliosis Awareness Month, and that's how I sort of found your account. I found your wonderful foundation that we're going to talk a little bit about, and I've just been really inspired to see what you've done as a dancer and an advocate for people that are suffering from scoliosis. So, before we jump into all of my questions, let's talk a little bit about your background. You are currently a dancer in the Lion King North American tour, which is awesome because I know so many people that have seen that. But can you tell us a little bit more about who you are, your background, where you live, your family, and all of that good stuff?
Yes, so I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. I started dance at the age of 4. My parents, they saw something in me, and my mom found a dance studio, and the rest is kind of history. I've been dancing since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
Um, when I became older, around the age of 10, I was given the opportunity to play the role of Clara. And that was like a life-changing moment for me, to have such a wonderful honor, and the challenge of being a lead role at the age of 10. So for me, it was like, okay, people believe in me. There's something there. I don't see it yet. At the time, dance was just something I did for fun. But at that moment, I started to like really take it seriously. I insisted that I go to summer programs where I would study dance over the summer. So I was really like passionate about dance and becoming a professional dancer. And that allowed me to go on to a performing arts high school in New York City, professional performing arts, where I got to train and study dance at an even more intense level at the Alvin Ailey School. And those 4 years were also life changing for me because before that I was doing just ballet, but now I was being introduced to jazz, modern, African, just all different types of dance and learning how my body can move. Um, but also at that time, I was dealing with a challenging situation. At the age of 13, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, and I went in for, a typical checkup from my doctor, and he asked me to bend down and bend up, and he could see that as I was rolling up, my spine was uneven. Uh, so he recommended that I go get an x-ray, and I went and got an x-ray, and lo and behold, I saw what my spine looked like, and it wasn't straight. It was in fact curved in an S. And this was frightening to look at, because up until that moment, as I said, being so passionate about dance and being so young and excited, um, seeing that x-ray really, it was scary. I had no symptoms up until that moment. Couldn't tell you that anything was wrong. Nothing seemed wrong. So seeing what was happening internally with my spine was just like, wow. Disbelief, frustration, anger, fear, because as a dancer we need our spine. we need
Mm-hmm.
it is our foundation. So, I cried and I was upset and I was angry, and hearing doctors say that I may need surgery was also terrifying. Um, my parents, they did their best with finding other solutions, other ways to go about treating my condition. And we found a phenomenal chiropractor by the name of Alex Eingorn in New York City, and his partner at the time in his business, sorry, suggested that I wear a back brace. So I was fitted for a back brace. I had two, one that I wore to school, and one that I wore while sleeping. So that was a new experience for me, just going from being free, being this young, energetic dancer, to now having to adjust to wearing a back brace for several hours every day. The only time I really felt free was when I was dancing. So, um, again, it was a very challenging time for me. I was fortunate enough to also have a teacher at the Ailey School that also had scoliosis. So I really think that was like divine in itself. I was able to talk to her and understand what my body would now need, because my alignment was changing every day as I was growing. Um, just the simple things that you need as a dancer. We say like squaring off your hips, which means evening your hips, which, as we know with scoliosis, that's impossible because it affects many of us with our pelvis. We may have one leg that's shorter than the other. Um, Squaring off your rib cage, keeping your ribs in. These are all terms you hear as a dancer, that with scoliosis, it's like, well, this is what my rib is doing right now. So it took relearning my body, understanding my alignment, what my alignment needed and what it was going through, and being very patient, and also not being afraid to tell others, that I was struggling with this and that I needed more assistance, or asking my teachers for more advice, or, just information. So, at a young age, I learned I couldn't be quiet about what I was going through if I wanted to succeed as a dancer.
Hmm. Now, did you feel when you got the diagnosis, did you sort of feel like maybe you wouldn't be able to sort of accomplish what you wanted as a dancer? Did you feel that it was very limiting at that time?
Absolutely. You're seeing your x-ray, you're hearing the word surgery, you're hearing what the surgery consists of. Again, this was almost 15 years ago. I'm sure the surgery has evolved, but these were all things that were scary to me. um
Hmm.
with dance, you have to, you roll down, you roll up, you need all that mobility. So for me, it was just like, will I have that mobility even if I don't get the surgery? Will my curvature get worse? Like, there were a lot of what ifs, like what could happen, a lot of just fearful thoughts, and also a lot of thoughts of like, why me?
Hmm.
So it was a difficult time, but again, when I turned 10 and I got that opportunity to play Clara, right? So prior to me getting diagnosed with scoliosis, I saw that people were believing in me. And I think that is what fueled me and my passion with dance. One of the things, of course, having a loving family and support system. Um, so I had people to lean on, and I had that reminder that, like, even with scoliosis, people think I'm a great dancer. They see something in me. So I was able to kind of put aside negative thoughts and really just focus on my craft, and keep my eyes on the prize, which was becoming a professional dancer.
I would love to hear from you. Just, I mean, it's clear how passionate you are about dancing. What does dancing mean to you? Why is this something that you have dedicated your life to?
Yeah, well, to me, dance is freedom. Yes, we work hours, we train, we work on our technique, we work on being refined, beautiful artists. But for me, that moment when you step on stage and you're in front of an audience, and all you have in that moment is just the opportunity to be vulnerable, to express yourself, to release anything you're feeling. For me, that is like the most beautiful gift that dance has given me, is the gift of sharing, of being myself, being authentically me, unapologetic about my story and my experiences and everything that has shaped me into the artist today. And I think those moments when I was wearing the corrective back brace, when I could finally take it off for dance, it was just like, wow, like I can breathe, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and of course, dance in itself presents frustrating moments. You know, we work so hard, we work so diligent at being at perfecting the craft of dance. I don't like to say being perfect, but perfecting it. And um there are challenges with that. You know, as artists, we're constantly putting ourselves out there, we're auditioning, we are in companies, we are trying to um, get better every day. So you know, there's a mental toll that can take on you. But I remind myself as much as I can that to not be so critical and to not judge myself so harshly, to remember all that I've overcome to get to this moment and to find that joy, and to be more optimistic and more graceful with myself, you know, allowing myself to understand that it's okay, that this will be a never ending process. And that goes with dance and also with having scoliosis. It is a never ending process of learning and rediscovering your body. Some days you may wake up with aches and pains in your neck or your low back. And I encourage people to really listen to your body, listen
Hmm.
to what it needs. Don't be ashamed about reaching out. You know, there's a bunch of communities now for scoliosis um, awareness and survivors, and you know, it's beautiful now what we have available. So I encourage people to do research and to connect with others like themselves, and to have conversation, you know, and find out what therapies work for some and what don't, and see what works for you. um, but I definitely am a firm believer that movement and dance is key when you have a spinal condition.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love what you're saying about, rediscovering and working and learning because like it does apply to spine health and scoliosis, but it also applies to just all of life. And so it's such a microcosm of a larger lesson that we can apply to every part of our life. Now, in terms of your scoliosis, it sounds like it does affect you into adulthood, or does it affect you at all now? Oh, it
Absolutely.
does. Okay.
Yes. You know, it's difficult because I am so active. I move, I take class. Prior to this pandemic, I was performing 8 times a week with the Lion King. So that in itself, like dance in itself can cause aches and pains, right? Because we are doing things that are not necessarily natural for the human body. So on top of navigating that, I also have to navigate the aches and pains that come from having scoliosis. But I do
Hmm.
know that without any movement, I still have aches and pains.
Right.
So that's why for my body, I know even if it's an hour length yoga warm up, or a ballet class, or a floor bar class. I love floor bar. Some other things that I know are beneficial: gyrotonics, Pilates, just anything that like incorporates movement. You can even sit on a chair and just do simple stretches and simple
Hmm.
twists, and you know, I've found that that's been very beneficial for my body, and um, the longevity even beyond my dance career. Just staying mobile and incorporating breath into my body is very, very important.
Yeah, and you have taken, what you went through, you want to empower and inspire others. You created your foundation. So tell us a little bit about that and what you do with that.
Yes, Paige Fraser Foundation, we launched in 2017. And this foundation aims to create a safe space for dancers with or without disabilities. We have 2 programs so far: Dance is Healing and the Spine Series. Dance is Healing is an annual workshop that we offer to the community for free. And we've had 2 very successful workshops thus far in partnership with Mind Builders in the Bronx, and this past December at the beautiful Alvin Ailey Studios. So Yes, it's such a wonderful program that we offer. We want to encourage and invite dancers of all, you know, conditions to feel comfortable to come and share with us in the space. We want to develop this even further, once we can recruit more dancers with or without disabilities to continue that relationship with them and allow them to feel accepted, like they belong, which they do. There's a community for everyone, I feel, in the arts. And recently we've launched the Spine series, which is still in development, but during the pandemic it has become a virtual class that we offer, which is also free. And this class ranges from gyrotonics, um, yoga for scoliosis, Pilates for scoliosis. We've offered yin yoga, breathing exercises, just introducing our community, our followers, to many different ways during this pandemic while we're indoors, to encourage spine health and spine awareness.
So I just love this idea of empowering people with disabilities to dance and do yoga and be active. Have you what are some other conditions maybe you've worked with where people with disabilities are still able to dance? Can you think of any others outside of scoliosis, or are you primarily focused on that?
This last December, we had a young lady with Down syndrome.
Oh, cool.
Um, we've had quite a few dancers though that have come, and they all have some form of scoliosis.
Hmm.
That is one thing as a foundation we love to embark on, is welcoming more, other
Hmm.
all types of spinal conditions. But I think because of my story, it is people are gravitated towards the foundation that have scoliosis as of
Yeah.
now. Those are a lot of the people that have attended or reached out or have come to our virtual classes. But I do want to encourage and use this time to say, if you have other forms of spinal conditions, please reach out. As a foundation, we want to bring awareness to all forms of conditions that affect the spine. Um, I can only speak from my experiences, with dancing with scoliosis. So,
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I love that you opened it up to a larger group.
yes.
Um, Now, I have to ask you, what is it like touring with the Lion King? What has that been like? How have you enjoyed that experience?
Yes. So prior to the pandemic, I had hit my 6-month mark with the tour, which was
Wow.
like a really big accomplishment for myself. The tour is no joke. Show is a dream of mine. I've auditioned about 6 or 7 times. And it was a matter of timing, and the phone finally rang, and here I was packing my bags and going on tour. And I love the story. I love the essence of the show. It's timeless. I feel like anyone can relate to it, with a young boy losing his dad, and the betrayal between two brothers, and just returning home and taking care of your people. There's so many different layers to the show, and I love that I get to be a part of this production. I have about 14 costume changes. So
Oh, wow.
I always tell people, you just kind of have to look out for me. I start out as a zebra, which I think is so interesting because I was doing research on zebras and just how each zebra has very unique stripes. Like,
Mhm.
no zebra is the same. And of course, I was like, wow, that kind of feels like me, just like with having scoliosis, and how we are unique in our own different ways. Like, no curvature is exactly the same. You look at someone's spine, they may have a similar degree, but their rotation may be different, or where their curves are may be different. So I saw that as a beautiful moment of synchronicity there, with me being cast as a zebra. Yeah, and then from being a zebra, I go into, being a lioness, and we all are hyenas, which is pretty funny, to have that acting role of being mean and aggressive and scary. So yeah, it's been a wonderful experience transitioning over to musical theater, having to not only dance but now also use my voice and sing. And there's several different languages in the African dialect that we speak. So that was really cool to learn the different languages. And um, yeah, it's definitely a wonderful production to be a part of, and the legacy of it, it speaks for itself. This show has been running for over 20 years, and they've had several different touring companies all over the world. So I'm grateful to be a part of this legacy.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so cool to hear your story, Paige. I feel like you have offered so much inspiration to people, especially young people that are just like young girls that are just being diagnosed, at the age of 11, 12, and they're, sort of caught off guard, like thrown off by this diagnosis, feeling maybe that they can't, achieve what they wanted physically. But your story really shows that you can, and you can be empowered by the things that happen to you. And so we just thank you so much for chatting with us today, and just thank you for everything you're doing for this community.
Thank you for having me. And if I could say one more thing,
Sure.
in honor of Scoliosis Awareness Month, I have created a short film which people can find on YouTube or on our Facebook page and our Instagram page, the Paige Fraser Foundation. And the film highlights, as you just said, other dancers around the world who have had the spinal fusion and who have not. And I thought that was beautiful to bring us all together remotely, to share our story and be unapologetic about having this condition. So yes, look out for Bent but Not Broken.
Okay, we'll be sure to link that in the notes when we finish up here. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Erica and the Spine Health Foundation. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Thank you.